Welcome to my last video in my Shark Week card event series for 2025. Today we're going to make this super cute beach cottage table decoration. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. Okay, so I'm starting with the House Treat Box die. This is so super cute. I absolutely love this. And at the time of filming, there was not the Summer Treat Box add-ons available yet, but I have it listed because it was in the coming soon. So that's this die here, but it is available right now. It just became available this week. And so I am using this for most of my stuff on my project today. Then I'm also using the Beach Vacation dies, which is the one here with the palm tree on the right. I'm going to be using those palm trees. And I brought in the summertime dies because you could also use some of these as well to add to your little fun table decoration here. Okay, so I have die cut the Summer Treat Box card, and I think that's what your homework was to get that die cut. I die cut that from Mixed Media White Cardstock. I'm doing a little bit of ink blending. I think this is with Pumice Stone or it's Lost Shadow, one of the two. I do come back and ink over a little bit, and I'm folding it on the score lines and inking around the edges of the house. I want my beach house to be white, my little beach cottage. And so I want to add just a little bit of color to that. Now, remember, I'm going to ask a question towards the end of the video to leave for the giveaway. Tonight's giveaway, I actually do know this ahead of time because I'm voicing it over the same day that it premieres, is a $25 gift card to scrapbook.com. So when I ask your question, leave it in the chat if you want to be eligible or be available to win that, because I have to pick off your comments. Does that make sense? And then I will announce the winner in the chat itself. Okay, so I have my two pieces done here. So you need two to put together the whole box. Isn't it so cute? So I'm going to show how we put it together. It really is super, super simple. I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive. This is a little wide. This is scrapbook.com. I'm just going to trim it down a little bit, and we are going to get this put together really quick. You'll still be able to fold it down to add the things that you need to add to. So I'm going to add that on both of those little tabs that are off of the left side of our house treat box. And scrapbook.com has tons and tons, well, not tons and tons, but quite a few add-on pieces to this that also just became available. They have a Halloween, they have a spring that just became available. I know that they have a fall one, they have their gingerbread one, like super, super cute. I definitely want to get my hands on the Halloween one because it is going to be so cute. Okay, so now that we have our release paper or our double-sided adhesive, I'm going to remove that release paper and then I'm going to line these up. And I'm looking really at the bottom where our little score lines are, making sure that those are level, and I'm going to press that down. And then you'll see that that's how this will go together. So for the other one, I'm making sure everything lines up before I stick it together. These will also fold underneath, and we will add some adhesive to that as well. And I'm just double checking on how I'm going to put this together before I put it together so I don't adhere things wrong, if that makes sense. So let me get a little bit more of our double-sided adhesive here. And I'm going to place that on one of these, and I will have to add some more, but I'm going to place it on one of the pieces here at the bottom. And I'll show you how I really get the bottom part to stick. Let's remove that release paper. Actually, let's not do that yet. Nope, let me fold this part together first. So I'm going to lay this flat. I'm going to remove that release paper. Just using my Pick Pro tool to get that off of there because my nails kept getting in the way for sure. Nails are nice and all, but they definitely get in the way of paper crafting. So I'm going to fold that down. I'm going to make sure that my bottom lines line up nicely so it's not wonky and crooked. And now we have our house treat box. How cute is that? And then that's how it's going to sit closed. And then you just gently fold back at the top a little bit on the score line. And then it just kind of arches over, and those little tabs tuck in to the little slots on the side. And look at how cute that is. So I want to have that together so I know how I can get the bottom adhered correctly. And I am just taking a minute. I'm not sure what I was thinking here. I think I was thinking, how do I want to adhere it now? Do I want to wait till I have some things on? I think is what I was thinking. So I am going to start putting this together. I have all of my pieces die cut from the Summer Treat box add-ons. This is the fun, like, thatched roof. I'm in love with it so much. I think it's so cute. So you have your pieces that go on these, like, point to your peaked part of your house, and then there's also pieces that go on the part that slopes in. Remember, this is a little treat box. My thought for this was this would be a really cute table decoration, even if you didn't do all the extra stuff that I did, like a place for it to sit, which we will get to. But if you put together these little boxes when you're having a fun summer party, a beach party, a pool party, whatever, and put treats in it for your guests. This could even be for adults, depending on how upscale you make it. I think it's so darling. You could add little their names on it, so each person knows where they are, where their little treat box is. I think that would be a really fun idea. So I did the bottom and then the top of the thatched roofing, and then I'm going to slide under the middle piece. To me, this made sense, so I could make sure that everything was spaced out properly, and I could slide in this middle one and make sure that's exactly where it needs to be. So to me, that made more sense just to do it that way. Then I will kind of fluff up all of these little areas that the die cut already die cut. You do not have to snip this with your scissors. Thank goodness. That would be a chore. I mean, I would do it, but it would be a chore. So the die cuts it already like this, which is fantastic. So I die cut this from scrapbook.com's Neutrals Smooth Cardstock. I have everything listed and linked for you guys below in the description. Also, if you're coming later to this and you wanted to make this with me on my blog, which I have a link down in the description as well, you can go to that link. You can see all the projects that I created, and then you can pick which one you wanted, print out the PDF that has the supplies and the homework. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other side. I decided I'm going to kind of fluff them up before I put them on there too. I think that would make that a little bit easier. But I just think this thatched roof is so darling. Like I mentioned, this is the last video of my Shark Week Card Event 2025 series. This is my 5th annual one. I'm so glad you guys are still liking it. Thank you so much for watching these and chatting along with me. I'm just having such a good time with it. And these fun cards and projects were so much fun to make and to share with you guys. So again, I'm going to fluff them up, kind of going in different directions, and then I can tuck that middle one in. I also used Sunshine Smooth Cardstock from scrapbook.com. That's going to be some of these other solid colors. This is from the Neutrals right here. Okay, so those are all good. How cute is that already? Let me do a little more fluffing. And again, if you are crafting along with me, I'm so happy about that. That's very exciting. Okay, that is really cute. And then again, that part just folds in and tucks into those little open slots, and you have this darling roof. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Okay, then we have the door. This cute little arch door. This is from the Summer Treat Box add-ons. I'm going to use a little bit of gathered twigs and my, oh my gosh, what are these called? My brain, I can't even think of what they're called right now, you guys. Oh, sponge daubers. But they fit on your finger, and I love these so much. I really, really love these. I love the size of these. But we're going to age that door just a little bit. Here is the door frame that is from a lighter brown cardstock from the Neutrals Smooth cardstock. And that has like the step up to the door. So I'm going to do a little bit of aging with that. Then we have our arched windows. I think this was from the original House Treat Box add-on. Don't hold me to it, but I think it was, but I wanted to go with the arched. So I'm going to age that. There is a circle window that I'm going to add above the door. And I'm going to create some shutters, and I will show you how I do that here in just a little bit. In the Summer Treat Box add-on, there is a surfboard, a chair, an umbrella, an anchor, some cute little seagulls. I think there's the beach sign, and there is a lifesaver in there. So tons of cute stuff. I did 3 of those windows, but I only ended up using 2 of those windows. Let me get my work surface cleaned off. I'm just using a silicone mat because it's so easy to clean. And then we can get going on our next step here. So I need to decide where my door is going to be. I want it where it has that taller peak, not on the side where the windows, where it's shorter, where you have the roof. I don't want that. So I'm going to line this up at the bottom. That's my cute little door frame. And then I'm going to place my door inside. We will add a doorknob to this a little bit later. How cute is that? We have our circle window that's going to go above the door. And then we have the arched windows that are going to go along the side. So what I did to create shutters was I die cut the door twice, that arched door. And I die cut that from a light brown cardstock, which comes from the Neutrals Smooth paper pack from scrapbook.com. And then I'll show you the rest in a second. But that's what I used to die cut, was from that door. Let's glue this window on the other side. Oh, and there's also a ship steering wheel, and I know that's not what it's called. But anyways, there's that from the Summer Treat Box add-ons, and I do glue that to the back of this house. Okay, now we have those pieces on. I think it's so cute. Let me pull out that door again. And then here is the Neutrals Smooth cardstock. I'm going to go with a kind of a lighter one. I think it's the same as the door frame. Yeah, it's the same as the door frame. I'm going to die cut that twice. So let me run that through my die cut machine. And the door is taller than the window, so I will have to trim a little bit off the bottom, but it will fit perfect, looking like open shutters on our darling little beach cottage. So there's that one. And then we have the other one. Okay, so let me get that paper out of the way. I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut this in half. I'm going to eyeball it. And that's for both of them. And then let's do a little bit of aging on the edges. So again, with the gathered twigs, just a little bit of that. And what's cool about this is it has those embossed lines in it like the door does. So you're going to have that nice little detail to the window shutters. So cute. All right, let me get this stuff out of the way. And then we can get these attached. And I do add a little bit of foam adhesive behind it so they'll stay, I didn't want them flat against the wall, so I want them to be up a little bit. So I'm going to use 1mm foam adhesive just to pop them up the tiniest bit. So you can see here that they're quite a bit longer. I want them to be the same at the bottom. So I'm going to trim just, I eyeballed it. It wasn't that much. Just trim a little bit off for each one. And look at how cute that is. Now we have some shutters to our windows. So 1mm foam adhesive is going to go behind that. It's super low profile, but it's going to give it a little bit of dimension rather than it just being flat against the side of our little beach cottage here. So I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to do a little tiny bit of distressing on that flat side, the outside area of our shutters. And that one was stuck to my hand. Okay, so let me get this one in place. That just totally adds so much to this. I love it. Of course, I had to add a pop of like teal aquamarine color because that's my favorite color. And I felt like this little darling white beach cottage definitely needed that. All right, so let's do that on this side. Again, adding a little bit of foam adhesive. And I have talked about these scissors. These are the titanium scissors from scrapbook.com because I use so much foam tape, and when you cut your foam adhesive, this does not stick to it. After a long time of cutting, you might get a little buildup of the stickiness, but I mean, it's a long time. It's a lot of foam adhesive you have to cut. I just use some isopropyl alcohol to clean it off really quick, but it just cuts right through it and doesn't stick, and I love them. I have a couple pairs on my desk, and I think my husband was like, hey, you have an extra pair of those scissors. Can I have one of those? I was like, absolutely not. I am not sharing my scissors. Those are mine, and they're for my crafting only. Normally I'm not stingy, but I'm a little bit stingy when it comes to my crafting scissors for sure. Because I have like 3 other pairs of their other scissors as well. So it's kind of fun. Okay, so that is really cute. We have our shutters on our house. We have our door. I think I might be ready to put this together. I'm just lifting those up a little bit. I should have had the front door propped open. Now that I'm thinking about it, that would have been really cute too. Just a little bit of that 1mm foam adhesive, having that door propped open. Okay, so I'm going to add more of this tape to our bottom because we are going to close this up now. So just a thin little piece. And then I'm removing that release paper, and so I'm going to fold that over. I'm so sorry I'm not in the camera shot. I just have the one piece folding over the other one that overlaps a little bit, and then we have the opposite ones. I'll remove that and then folding that to where the part with the sticky, the side with the sticky part, oh my gosh, is on top. And then I'm just going to use my Pick Pro tool just to press down in there. And then my bottle of glue, I'm pressing it down inside. So now we have that. We have our little treat box all closed up. That double-sided adhesive will hold really, really well. If you really want to add something else to that, add also some dots of liquid glue. And once all of that dries, it is not going anywhere. Okay, how cute is that? How cute would just a bunch of those on your table be for a party? I think that would be so fun to have some homemade treats in there, or if you're not a homemade baker, just some store-bought treats. Put them inside, put someone's name over the door. How cute would that be? I'm using black pops of color for the doorknob. I'm going to do that now because we're going to put this aside and work on some other things. So now we have that darling, darling little cottage. I love this so much. I need to make more of these. I just think they're so cute. This is my little dream beach house that I want to stay in. Okay, cute, cute. Let's go on to our next part. We are going to put together our dies from the Summer Treat Box add-on. So we have our little sign here. I have die cut again from Neutral Smooth Cardstock and Sunshine Smooth. Well, they're paper pads from scrapbook.com. So that's all my colors here. I wrote in a white gel pen, beach, pointing the way it's pointing. That's going to go on our little plot of land because we're going to create a little plot of land, you guys. So let's put together our umbrella. We have this fun pink. We have a fun kind of peachy orangey coral for the chair. So I'm going to adhere that to the umbrella stand. We have a few of the little birds. I have two of these chairs together because I'm cutting it from thinner cardstock. I'm going to glue them together to make them a little bit thicker because these things are going to be standing up in our texture paste, and we're going to create sand and ocean from our texture paste. This is one of my most favorite projects I've ever done. I've not ever done anything like this, and it was the most fun, like just the most fun. So I'm going to help out this umbrella because it's so thin. I'm going to glue it to this chair, and I also end up slicing a little piece of, oh no I don't, but you could. I thought I was going to. Slice a little piece of acetate really thin and adhere it behind your umbrella and chair if it's a little bit flimsy, or if anything's a little bit flimsy, add that and that will help. Distressing a little bit with the rustic, no, not rustic wilderness, gathered twigs. Giving everything a little bit of age just to go along with the beach house. The same with the sign. Then we have our lifesaver here, and I just used pink instead of red for the little stripes. Then we have our anchor. That was just from white cardstock. I'm just going to ink blend that with the gathered twigs, Distress Oxide ink. We have, let's see, I did 5 seagulls because we all have been to the beach where the seagulls gather in numbers. And I'm going to use pumice stone to ink blend their wings that attach to their body. Now, I flipped 2 of mine around. They're so small that you're not going to realize that you're looking at the back side of the die cut. I wanted them to be in different directions, so I just flipped it around. I'm using an orange marker for their beaks. And then I can pop this out, and their bodies I just kept white. So let's glue on their wings and their beak. Look at how cute they are. So this is the direction it normally goes. And then, like I mentioned, I flipped 2 of them around to go in a different way. And then just using a little black pen to add a detail to their eyes. So I'm going to flip him over and just glue everything on that way. You just can't even tell, it's so tiny. I think I'm looking for his nose. Or his little beak. It was so tiny. And it was sticking to my silicone mat. Sometimes you just fight with your cardstock. It's just really kind of silly. So he is put together. Cute. We've got 3 more to do. This will go pretty quick. And the wings have embossed detail in it, which is fantastic. Even these tiny little dies have detail. I love that in die cuts. I love that scrapbook.com does that. So even all these small dies have all of this detail. I think it's really nice to have on your project. And then these guys are going to go the same direction. And this is the Pick Pro tool, and I have the sticky end and then my little poiky end. And it is so helpful, and you can see it's so fast just to flip it around and get all your stuff where it needs to go. And then a little dot for their eyes. Then we have the lifesaver and our surfboard to put together. I did want to have a lot of fun, bright colors on this, so it just felt so fun and beachy. So I brought in the pink and the yellow from the Sunshine Smooth paper pad. And then let's glue that together. Cute. That's going to be standing up in our sand as well. And then the Lifesaver. We're going to put that together. Like I mentioned, I used pink instead of red. I did not want to bring red into this, but I thought the pink was perfect. So the pink is on the umbrella and that surfboard. So everything feels a little cohesive. All right. Cute, cute. Oh, that one kept sliding around. All right, so now we have our palm trees from the Beach Vacation dies. I ink blended the trunks with gathered twigs, and the palm fronds are going to be Rustic Wilderness. There's a larger one and a smaller one. We're going to use obviously both of these on the project today, because you got to have palm trees, or I do anyways. I love a palm tree, so I need to have those near my beach cottage, wherever that's at. But super quick, super easy ink blending to get this project going. And you have to do the back side because these are going to be standing up and you're going to see them if you look around. So this doesn't really have a back that you can hide. You're probably going to notice this, especially if it's on your table for a decoration. Okay, so now that that's done, let me get this cleaned up really quick, because I don't want to get the rest of my stuff in it. So in the PDF, it talks about getting some chipboard. I did a thick chipboard. I'm going to glue these together really quick, but I did a thicker chipboard so that way it could be the base. Now again, you don't have to do all that. You could adhere this stuff directly to the side of the house, and that would be darling. But I really wanted this to be like a 3D table decoration where you have sand and ocean and you can see the fun images. Now, I will say, I did not, if you really want to hide everything, do a chair and an umbrella piece behind the chair and umbrella. Do another palm frond on the back of your palm trees. I did not do that. I wasn't overly concerned with that part, even though I did color the back of the palm fronds. I felt like that would just stand out really weird if it was all white. But if you really don't want to see that, then add those pieces behind it. I'm going to add a little bit of that gathered twigs to the side of my beach cottage because it's going to have a little, you know, staining from the sand and the weather, but I don't want to go overboard. You know, we did add a little bit of that lost shadow, but I feel like this really added an extra something. I didn't add it to the handles, but you could, but I did not do that. Okay, cute. All right, so here I have a piece that I was doing a different project with of my chipboard. I'm gonna lay my beach cottage down, and I'm just taking a pencil and drawing a line so I know where I'm going to place this. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to do the texture paste first and then put this down, or if I was going to put this down and then do the texture paste. So I just wanted to have it marked so I knew where that's going to go. And then I'm just trimming, making a line so I know where to cut on my piece of chipboard. So I have a long rectangular piece. Originally in my mind it was going to be square, but once I started looking at all the things that I wanted to put down, I'm like, I need to have all the real estate towards the front of this beach house for the layout that I'm looking for. So that's what I did. So this is going to be where our sand and our ocean is going to sit. So right here I'm deciding, do I want to adhere it down first? And I do. So I'm going to use double-sided adhesive, again, because it's going to be really strong. And I'm going to place that down inside of that square that I traced around my beach cottage. And then this is where I can stick that, and then we can work on our texture paste. So things are about to get a little bit messy, but totally fun and totally worth it. Okay, so now let's remove that release paper, and then we can get this placed down. I'm going to get my little things out of the way though. I'm going to put those in my sort and stack tray. And I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add a little bit of stability here. So maybe I do add that. I've got a piece of acetate. I'm going to just trim a small little piece. Yeah, I do that. Okay. a little bit of liquid glue. This is going to help that section in between the umbrella and the chair. That is so funny because I am looking at it right now and I can't even see it. How hilarious is that? But it works. I thought I did it and then I'm like, I'm not seeing it, so maybe I didn't do it, but I did. Okay, remove that release paper and then make sure you have your house facing the right direction, because that would be a bummer. And if anyone was going to do that, it would be me. So now that I have that adhered, we are fantastic. I'm going to draw just a light line of where I want my ocean to go. I actually end up changing this direction, but just visually, so I have an idea of where things are going to go in the sand, where the water, where the surf is going to go. I want to have an idea. So I'm going to change that. There we go. And sometimes you need to bring in your little parts and pieces, look at that and go, is this going to work? Is this going to give me enough room to put down all the pieces that I want? And look at me thinking ahead, because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. And I thought I was going to have a walkway to the water, but I ended up changing that. So I did draw that out. Obviously, you can do what you want. I'm going to erase it. Not that it mattered. I don't even know why I wasted the time to erase it, but. And then I'm going to draw my second line, so I know where the little bit of the, white surf is going to be. And now we are going to tint our Cloud Whip. So I'm using Cloud Whip texture paste from scrapbook.com, and I will be using some re-inkers. No, I used Distress paint and gathered twigs for the sand. You can use whatever paint you have. If you have craft paint, that is totally fine. And I probably made more than I needed, but I wanted to make sure it was going to be the same color. And then for the ocean, we're going to use a salvaged patina re-inker, because I did not have salvaged patina in Distress paint, which is really odd for me. So I'm just going to mix this. I added a little bit of paint, and I just kept this I sped it up a tiny bit, but that way if you're crafting along with me, you can mix it too. So I'm going to add a little bit more paint. I want a darker sand, but this color was perfect for sand color. Absolutely perfect. So I'm going to mix that nicely. I'm just using a palette knife on my silicone mat. And you can see we're getting a nice blend. I think I add more for sure because that's not quite dark enough. And I did not need to paint my chipboard here. Now, I will say when it dries, it does kind of bend up a little bit. I don't really know how to solve that problem. I didn't really want to bend mine, so I'm not sure, And I did not finish the edges of mine. I don't think the sides matter, but where the water is, I should take a re-inker and just kind of finish those edges, but this was wet and I wasn't going to touch it. So, that would be up to you how you would do that. I also added a little bit of water because my Cloud Whip is a little bit older and a little bit dry. So this does take a minute to blend, but now we've got it. And now I'm just going to start by the beach cottage. And I'm going to press this up against the house. This is also going to help hold that in. Not that I feel like it's going to go anywhere with that double-sided adhesive. That stuff is so strong. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to press that down, smooth it out a little bit. I mean, it's sand. I don't want it to be perfectly smooth, but I'm just trying to get it on there. Now, when we start placing our pieces in here, we have to build it up with some of this texture paste. So you have to have enough to build little mounds of sand for your stuff to stand in. And there we go, that's better. And something I had to do while I was continuing to make this, and even while it was drying, I was checking it to make sure my pieces weren't going to fall over. Sometimes they would, some of them tried to, like the chair tried to, but the sign didn't, the surfboard did not, so I think I did well on that. So basically building up some of the sand behind really helps it from falling forward. So I'm going to keep smearing this. Now remember, I have my lines drawn where this is going to go, which is great. So I'm just going to follow that line of where I'm then going to have white, and then we're going to have blue for ocean. And then I'm just going to kind of smooth all that out. doesn't have to be perfect because it's me covered up, but I am going to take any of the bulk off of where it's going to meet up to the next color. So here I'm going to build a little pile because I want the bigger palm tree here in the back. So I'm going to build that up a little bit. That way that stem has somewhere to stick. Now, something I did do once I had enough built up around it, I did kind of tuck one of the palm fronds into like the roof line a little bit, and that held it really nicely until it dried. Then I'm going to do another palm tree right here. So again, I'm just building that up. You'll be able to see it better here. I'm going to put a little more in the back because I'm realizing a little bit higher in the back helps it up. And it doesn't look weird because sand, you know, is lumpy and bumpy and there's mounds of sand. It totally looks fine. It does not look weird at all. It actually looks really, really cute. And then you can kind of smooth away. And I did use my fingers to help pat down if it was a little too textury. I mean, obviously it's your thing, however you'd like to do that. You can see my palm tree was falling a little bit, but really this was not a big deal. So I'm going to tuck that into the house. This one leans up against the house just a little bit regardless, which is totally fine. So I'm going to build up that mound and then build it down because I'm going to have a lot of stuff on this side. So it needs to have a bit of a bigger mound. All right, let's get that palm tree in here. And then we have our lifesaver. That's going to go in front. So I'm going to add a little bit there. I'm adding it a little bit also in the areas where I'm going to put things because I need it to stick into it more. Because I didn't do a super thick layer over everything, I'm building those areas up so it has somewhere to grab. If that makes sense, maybe. Okay, I'm adding a little bit more to those side areas. Oh my gosh, it's looking so cute. I had so much fun making this. I thought the surfboard would be darling next to the ocean. I'm going to add some of that towards the back. A little bit in the front. You always see him standing up in the sand. I think that looks so cool. Then we have our beach chairs, or our beach chair and our umbrella. So this one took me a second. I had to build it up, and then it has some little legs. And so I think I bent the legs a little bit and then tucked it down in, which really helped it. So, you know, it would stand there because you have two little tiny legs. So I'm going to put those in there, and I realized I'm going to have to bend those down just the tiniest bit. But again, building up the sand behind it. And I do have to say, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I was really surprised at how well it turned out. Like, it cooperated, which was really nice. I mean, I've done lots of crafty things in my life, so I'm not, you know, I kind of understood what needed to happen here. But I was really happy that it turned out so good because sometimes things just don't, you know. We're going to lean this anchor up against the beach cottage here. Using the tweezers because it helps keep my hand out of the way. But that chair kept wanting to fall over and over, but I really did get it figured out and it was totally fine. Build up a little bit more of that behind the surfboard. Now, something that I did on here, so from my Beachy Sharks stamp set, there is a little fin, shark fin in that stamp set. And I do add that to my water because we're just a little bit twisted in my family and it's the best thing. I love seeing the shark fin in it. It's so, so cute. It's so cute. But you don't have to do that. I do that right at the very end so you could see what it looks like without it. But I just had to pop mine in there. Okay. So I'm going to add actually a little bit of glue. Well, I have to. He's going to be adhered to the front of the house. And then I'll have another one in the roof line. So a little bit of liquid glue there. Let me add a little bit more of that texture paste behind that palm tree, kind of pushing it forward a little bit. Since it wants to fall backwards, I'm trying to push it in the opposite direction so it'll stand up straight. Okay, so let me get more of our darling little seagulls. I know I talked about my husband loving seagulls. He just loves the sound of them. For some reason, it just makes him, it sounds like the beach to him, so it makes him relax, which is a good thing. This little guy took a minute to get him to stand up. He kept wanting to fall down. So you just have to play with him for a little bit, add enough liquid glue, let it dry, and then he's good. I think I was playing with him a little too much. He was fine, and then I messed with him, and then he wasn't fine. When we were just at the beach not too long ago, staying at Morro Bay, we were eating at this cute little diner outside, and there was just tons of seagulls just all around us on the roof lines and chatting away, probably wanting our breakfast. They're so funny. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask the question now. So enter your answer into the comment below. You will email me your preferred email address at createitwithjoy@gmail.com. If you are the winner, I will put that in the comments of the live chat that's going on right now. Have you ever stayed in a beach house, like on the water? Have you ever stayed in something like that, or even a hotel on the water? We've stayed in Laguna Beach on the water. We stayed in Oceanside in this darling little beach house that had squirrels living on it. We were right on the water. And there was squirrels that lived on the patio, and there was this one really fat squirrel, and he knew he was fat because he would try to go through the open areas in the little wooden fence that fenced in our little patio. He had to turn sideways to go through. We watched him multiple times. He turned sideways. It was so hilarious. But yeah, we've stayed in it. I love it. I love going to sleep with the sound of the ocean. So much fun. Okay, really quick. I'm using Salvaged Patina re-inker to the Cloud Whip, and I'm going to mix it up. That's going to be for the ocean. We stayed in Laguna Beach. We were like on a business trip with my husband for the first half, and the second half was going to be a Mother's Day trip. And I got so sick. And I was like, I don't care. I want to go to the beach anyways. I don't want to go home. I just want to go stay in the hotel. I don't care if that's where we have to stay. Like, my husband could take the kids down on the beach, and I could sit on the patio and watch. It was the best sick time of my life being on the ocean. Other than the first night hearing the ocean waves was really kind of making me nauseous. But other than that, it was fun. And we saw dolphins, and we had a really, really good time. So we have done that. Okay, so I'm getting this nice and mixed up, and then I'm going to use a little bit of just the white Cloud Whip. I'll add a little bit of water to that just to soften it up, because again, mine's just a little bit drier because I've used a lot of it. I've had it a while. So let me wipe that off. And we're going to do the white first, butting up right next to the sand. And then we can add the ocean part. I do want that surf to kind of come over the ocean, and so we'll do a little bit of that too. So let me just grab that, and I'm going to push that up into that sand area. I want to be careful to not grab the sand area because that is not completely dry yet. It's probably decently dry because it's pretty thin there, but I am being careful with that. And then I will also use my palette knife to gently kind of glide over the top of the white to give it a different kind of texture. And that's working out really, really nicely. Look at how cute that is. And then I'm just using my finger to make sure that everything is touching. I don't have an open spot, pressing it down just lightly, very, very lightly. This stuff is really easy to work with. And this came out so much better than I thought it was going to. And yeah, for not kind of really knowing what I was doing, but it totally worked. Okay, how cute is that? All right, let me get the ocean, and we're going to put that up to it. And this is where you can decide how much of that surf you want. And depending on how big of a piece of your chipboard is, you could do a darker blue too. You could have a deeper end. This is my favorite color, ocean, because usually this means it's shallow. I like shallow ocean better than really deep ocean. But that's just me because I'm a big chicken. So let's put this in place, pushing that down. And I did keep that sand color in case I needed it, which I think I needed it for the chair because it looked like it was falling over just a little bit. But just for a little while, do you have to mess with it, and then it dries, and then it's totally fine. But you can see I'm grabbing the top of my beach cottage, and it's really sturdy, stuck down with that double-sided adhesive. So, okay. So now I'm going to use my finger to kind of pat down the ocean, get rid of some of the texture that my palette knife left. And I will go back with the white and gently pull it over where the blue and the white meet, because right now I don't like how that looks. So I need a little bit of white. So I'm going to use my palette knife to create some of the texture by there. And then and I'm tapping my palette knife so it looks a little more water-esque, but that's just your personal preference, however you want that to look. Then a little bit of white, and I'm going to gently glide that across the area where the blue and the white meet. And then that's going to give that surf look pulling over the water. So instead of having this like sharp edge where they were meeting, now it has more of that water edge. So that's good. I'm glad I zoomed in. So now you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then I'm just using my finger to kind of pat it down. And then if I had a little too much white, just grab a little bit of blue and go back over it and let it mix nicely. How cute is that? Yeah, my chair keeps falling over. Let's place our seagulls in some water, 2 of them in the water, and then that one is in the sand by the surfboard. How cute is that one? And I'm going to add a little bit of white, and I actually need to use my tweezers just so he'll stay in position. So a little bit in front and a little bit behind, and then I can press that down, and then he will stay there. Let me do a little more of the white there because I'm going to put that other seagull right there. And then we are coming close to the end of this. I don't show putting in the shark, but I show you at the end. But I did the same thing, just added a little more of the ocean and put the shark in there. I added a little bit of rock candy glitter to the ocean, not the sand, to give it a little bit of sparkle, because you know how beautiful it looks when the sun sparkles off the ocean. And then we'll put that little shark fin in there. Okay, guys. Thank you. I'm just so glad that you guys chatted along with me this whole time. Thank you for joining me for all 8 videos. This has been so much fun. I hope you've had a good time. Here's my little shark fin right in the front from my Beachy Sharks stamp set. Isn't that great? Look at how cute this is. I love it. So thank you guys again for joining me for all of this. I've enjoyed chatting with you and sharing my project with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and stay tuned for other fun videos on my channel. And thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Bye.